These theories will make you question everything. So remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's check it out.
Have you seen this before? Oh, this girl actually has a really dark story. So in World War II, where everyone didn't have a lot of things to eat, so Pika-chan and her mom was also this case, right? And her mom felt so bad that she cut her arm off one day and fed it to Pika-chan because
because you're starving.
That was the only food they had, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's why, if you see it, there's a slogan on Milky which says, "So milky, it's mom's taste."
Whoa.
And you see it, listen. You see how her tongue is always licking her cheek. That's her tasting her mom on her cheek.
That's why your cheeks are red, because it's the blood.
Yeah.
Blood?
You don't see Piko-chan in this, but he has a blue hat, right?
Yeah.
And he wears this because Piko-chan was trying to eat his skull, so that cap is protecting him.
Yo, what the? There's some mad lore about that shit.
No, I was so surprised because I've seen this in like candies before.
It reminds me of.
Have you seen this before?
I'm trying to remember what candy over here reminds me of that, or have I seen like something like that with a big face on it? It don't even matter regardless. This sounds like one of them stories you grow up hearing as a kid, and you don't even really care if it's true or not. You just know that it's a messed up story. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those stories that you don't even care. You just know it's just crazy out its mind, and it lives rent free in your head. Like, what? Who? Why?
The candy industry has been lying to all of us, and I'm going to prove it to you. So as you know, TikTok is obsessed with telling us about the Mandela effect. For example, we all know that the Dora the Explorer Boots ice cream was real, but Popsicle made a public statement saying that it never existed. There's a ton of occurrences like this, but we know that our minds isn't the only thing that's been gaslighting us. By the way, leave a comment below
I ain't never seen that candy before.
and tell me what your favorite candy is. Anyways, back to the story. So here I was, enjoying myself some nice, delicious Sour Patch Kids as I'm watching the new Spider-Verse film, and I'm super enjoying the movie. It's a great time, by the way. Have you seen it? Anyways, I'm simping on Hobie as I take another bite of the Sour Patch Kid, and I realize that there's no dust on it, so it's not sour at all. I take another bite of it and I start to chew, and I start to realize that it doesn't taste like a Sour Patch Kid at all, but it actually tastes exactly like a Swedish Fish, down to the texture, the taste, the sugar, the flavor. It was ridiculous. So I figure, like, oh, the manufacturer has just accidentally put a Swedish Fish inside of the bag, it's no big deal. But it kept on running through my head. So after the movie, I decided to look into it and actually found out that, like, it's true. Red Sour Patch Kids are the same candy as Swedish Fish. They're just coated with sour sugar. Kind of makes me wonder what other candy.
I'm pretty sure you could type in anything and find something related to what you're looking for on the internet, bro. You know what I mean? But Swedish Fish, I tried those before. You got to be a serial killer to like Swedish Fish, bro. And right now, if you're looking at yourself saying, "Oh, I love Swedish Fish," then, "Ooh, you're a serial killer, bro. You just ain't tapped into what you know what I mean? You might just not know that about yourself yet, but I'm here to tell you. That's what you are, fam. Those things are just, no, don't eat. I couldn't eat them.
On tonight's episode of Prison Mythbusters, if you find a candy bar on your bunk in prison and you eat it, will you owe somebody your cornhole? This is a popular and widespread urban legend, but is it based out of reality?
Like, I've heard this story so many times, bro. You know what I mean? I can't play this full video because he's playing music, so I wouldn't stop. But we could touch on it a little bit. Like, I heard this story from people saying this. The last story I heard was this guy was going into prison, right? And when he got there, somebody was befriending him, telling him, you know, if you need anything, I got you. Just come talk to me. Whatever you need, I can get it for you. This, that, and the third. You need food? Here, boom, take this. And just giving him stuff. You know what I mean? So in his mind, he thinking, okay, cool. This might be a cool person. You know what I mean? He giving me stuff. I'm accepting it. And everybody always says that's the worst thing to do because it's now like they own you. You're there. You know what? And that was the next thing. He told him to meet him later on down the line somewhere around the shower area, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like I've heard this so many different times about that. So to hear him say it is, to me, I believe it's true.
Please tell me what is going on with the candy at Walmart recently. Check this out.
Oh, my friend from work just bought these at Walmart, just letting people know to please be careful buying the Reese's. This is just nasty.
Not the Reese's. Those would be my favorite, especially during like Halloween time.
And I'm gonna open one, and I'll open a few of them just so you guys can see that it's not us that did this gross thing. Look. So people beware at Walmart. Let me open one.
I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that. I'm trying not to watch it.
Okay, so here we go. We just opened one, okay? And look at what just came out.
Oh.
Now, let this be a reminder that Halloween is coming up, and to make sure to check all candy before eating it, because you just never know nowadays. Please tell me what is going
Oh. Oh, please, man. Please, 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 for the love of anything holy, please check the kids' candy when y'all let them go out to eat, man. Some sickos out here, they're nasty, and they just be handing out candy to the kids. Oh, that one made me sick, bro. That one made me sick, bro. Let's keep moving.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
Let's go. So in the early 2000s, there was a rumor that was starting to go around. Now, supposedly, there was a type of ape that was going extinct. So all of the zoos across the country did as zoos do, and it started to kind of help nature along. You know, laws and stuff are being put in place to help protect the ones in the wild. They felt that they could at least help out with the ones that were in captivity. So the San Diego Zoo trained one of their male monkey ape things to, whenever he was given a certain fruity candy that I will not be mentioning or showing the logo of on camera, the local teens, through trial and error, discovered that he only liked the green ones, and that's why these are now sour apple.
What's a conspiracy theory that you...
Wait, what? Where do y'all get this stuff from, man? Like, it makes me scared. That's why when I hear certain stories, I'll be like, okay, where did that story come from? So I know to never, ever move there. Because if y'all telling stories like this, imagine what I haven't heard.
Alright guys, I'm super freaked out right now. I just learned about this conspiracy theory with candies. These ones specifically. Basically, each bag has like this question and an answer on it. And if you put all the answers together, it makes like this weird demonic thing. But I don't know. I just wanted to show you guys the question that's on the back of my candies. This one says, candies nuts fit in your mouth. Alright guys, I'm super freaked out right now.
We can't escape it, y'all. I mean, what do? We just can't escape it. Somebody's just gonna do something just dumb and just dumb. You know what I mean?
I know. I haven't been consistent. I will try and do better. By the way, I just picked this picture for the story. That's actually one of my little triplets. Isn't she adorable? It's the smile that really makes it creepy, isn't it? Hello, history nerds. So, razor blades and apples and tainted candy. Fact or myth? These stories have been circulating really since the 50s, but caught a lot of steam in the 1970s. Now, actual incidents are very few and far between. Best. A professor of sociology at the University of Delaware is one of the foremost tainted candy researchers in the United States. And he has actually found very little evidence for America's Halloween candy fears. Which dates back to 1958, and he has found no evidence of any child ever being killed or seriously injured by trick-or-treating candy. Researching 25 years of Halloween articles from the New York Times, Tribune, and Los Angeles Times, the only confirmed death he found was the one of little Timothy O'Brien, who was not killed by some nefarious stranger. He was killed by his dad, as we saw in the last video. He gave the tainted Pixy Stix not only to his son, but his daughter and 3 neighbor kids. Good guy. Things really got crazy in the 80s when the Tylenol murders happened. There was Tylenol laced with cyanide, and there was this big recall. It was crazy. Being said, in recent years, like since 2018, an 11-year-old was charged with putting needles into candy. People have gotten candy that was laced with methamphetamine. That is the most common thing right now, candy laced with drugs. And that's really scary because as a parent, how do you check that? There are no records so far of a child being seriously harmed. The FDA does recommend checking the candy. So parents, I guess you're going to lick the Snickers and see if you start tripping out. Anyway, remember, I'd find you more interesting if you were dead. I know.
This is so sad, bro. Like, and I know some people are gonna be like, well, this is why we don't celebrate the demonic day of Halloween anyway. I can get what you're saying to certain extents, but it's for the kiddos, right? But now we gotta live in a world where I feel like we gotta walk around and try to escape the wrath of Jigsaw. That's what I feel. That's what I feel like I'm running from during Halloween, trying to figure out if this candy is good or not. Like, what is going on? Man, we need to reset this simulation because it is bad for us, bro.
This man is the reason we're told to check our kids' Halloween candy. On Halloween of 1974, Ronald Clark O'Brien, his wife Daneen, and their 2 children, 8-year-old Timothy and 5-year-old Elizabeth, were invited to a friend's home for dinner and trick-or-treating in Pasadena, Texas. They would be going to the home of Jim and Kathy Bates, which was perfect because they also had 2 young kids who were ready to go trick-or-treating. So after dinner that night, Jim, Ronald, and the kids set off. It was a rainy Halloween night, so they decided to limit their trick-or-treating to only 2 streets in the neighborhood. And after visiting a few houses, the group came upon a house that seemed as if no one was home since the porch lights were out. The kids knocked, but when no one answered, they grew impatient and moved on down the street. Jim followed after the kids, but Ronald hung back for a few minutes before jogging back up to the group holding 5 extra large Pixy Stix in his hands. He said to Jim, "You must have rich neighbors because look what they're handing out." And of course the kids were excited because what kid can resist a gigantic tube full of sugar?
No.
After hitting a few more houses, the men and kids headed back to the Bates home, where Ronald handed out the Pixy Stix to each of the 4 kids and gave the remaining stick to a child that he recognized from church who knocked on the door trick-or-treating. After leaving the Bates home that night, Ronald told his kids that they could each choose a piece of candy to eat before bed. And of course, 8-year-old Timothy chose the Pixy Stick. He helped his son open the tube and rolled it between his palms because the sugar had gotten moist in the rain before he tipped Timothy's head back and poured the contents in his mouth. When the sugar hit his tongue, Timmy made a face because it was bitter and he didn't like it, so Ronald poured his son a glass of Kool-Aid to wash it down with. After tucking his son into bed, Ronald heard his son yell out in pain. He was experiencing severe stomach pain, he was vomiting, convulsing, and fell unconscious. Ronald called 911, however Timothy was gone before he even made it to the hospital. Police immediately began investigating and determined that Timothy was killed from the Pixy Stick he'd eaten. The candy was laced with potassium cyanide, and Timothy had consumed enough to kill 2 adult men. Thankfully, police were able to retrieve the other Pixy Stix before the kids had eaten them, but one of the kids was found asleep with it in their hands. Ronald told police which house he had gotten the candy from, but it turned out the man who lived there had a very strong alibi, so the police started looking into Ronald. And police received a call from a life insurance agent that told them that the day after Timothy's death, Ronald had called them to cash out on the policies he had taken out on his son. And it turned out Ronald had taken out multiple policies on both of his children and stood to collect a lot of money. And the amount of money that he stood to collect almost added up perfectly with the mountains of debt that he was in. And in the months leading up to Halloween, Ronald was talking with a lot of coworkers and people in his life about cyanide. He wanted to know how to get it, how to kill someone with it, and how to hide it. Police searched his home and never found the cyanide, but found a pair of scissors they believed he used to cut the top off the Pixy Stick, as well as a knife with sugar residue on it. Ronald O'Brien never admitted to his crimes, but it only took a jury 46 minutes to find him guilty and another hour to sentence him to death. Since then, checking your kids' Halloween candy for terrible things has been deemed a myth, and although nothing like this has ever happened since then, the fear is based in truth. And there are still so many details to this case, so if you're interested in hearing the full story, check out episode 103 of my podcast called Not Today. This man is the reason.
Bro, this is the lowest of the lowest. The cruelest of the cruelest. This fool is more diabolical than I've ever seen. who, and this is why everyone shouldn't be allowed to have children. Right here. Here's the proof. Concrete evidence right here. This fool sacrificed his own kid and was willing to do more. Tried to do more. Had already given it to him, just the kid didn't take it. He sacrificed his own for debt he was in. Insurance money. No. We got to figure out a way, man. We got to figure out a way to save these unborn kids. The ones that aren't here yet. From people who don't need to have them. Like this joker here. Yeah. I don't even think another Pixy Stix will ever be allowed to toys. I don't think my kids know what Pixy Stix are. But one won't be allowed in this house now. They just ruined it for me.
I'm starting to think those are propaganda. Alright, these candies, propaganda. No, guys, literally hear me out. This is just propaganda. My first point, a threat like this is talked about every year. It doesn't matter where you are, there's always a central threat during Halloween, and it's mostly razors and candy or drugs. My second point to this argument is that these candies exist. They're made by companies, actually. The ones up here that are specifically, they're made by companies, and they're just sugar. They're like cheap candy that, specifically sweet tarts. I've never died from one of these candies, and my third point that this is propaganda, who doesn't benefit from Halloween? The police officers. It's a night when children are out in the dark and they have to patrol everywhere. Well, what if there was less children on the street because their parents made them stay in? Which would mean less crime, less teenagers out on the streets, or, you know, people who think they can just rob banks with masks and then disappear into a crowd. It's ingenious. My final point, who the f*** is giving out drugs for free? Especially ones that can kill you. They're not a repeating customer, so they can't come back and buy more drugs. I've never given out drugs for free that could kill you. That's why? Why? I'm not saying don't check your candy. Do. If it comes in like a weird plastic bag and they're obviously these, don't eat it, just in case I'm crazy. But I'm not. I have never seen a razor in my candy. I've never seen drugs in my candy. Alright? And this is a fucked up... I live in a fucked up neighborhood. Alright? I don't live... Someone stole my bike right off my porch and there was a Ring camera. Just watch out. Be careful, I guess. But, you know, that's it. Bye.
Is it just me, or did it seem like he was hopped up off of those candies? He was a little bit wired. A bit wired. Now, I thought those candies were something else. And I'm not going to say what I thought those was, but y'all know what I was thinking, right? We were thinking the same thing when I first saw those candies. I thought that was something else. But I digress. You know what I mean? He does have a point with there could be some type of propaganda attached to these candies and different things like that, and each year, and I don't put it past them, bro. So you ain't gotta convince me or some of us too hard of that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to convince us. That doesn't make it true, but still, like, we still listen, and now we're aware and pay attention to it. That's the main thing. Get it out there so people now can be aware. They can look out for it. And if it never happens, cool. But just in the event that it does, we're on top of it.
Americans are being poisoned, brainwashed, and genetically modified without even realizing it. Do you like Skittles? Do you like to taste the rainbow? If your answer is yes, then what I'm about to tell you, this crazy conspiracy theory, is bound to blow your mind. Just a few days ago, a California resident filed a lawsuit against Skittles and its parent company, Mars Incorporated, suing them and claiming that the colorful and tasty candies that we've all grown to adore is unfit for human consumption due to its alarmingly high levels of titanium dioxide, a dangerous additive that puts its consumers at a heightened risk of genotoxicity. And for those of you who don't know, genotoxicity is when a chemical substance has the ability to alter the fundamental structure of our DNA. Titanium dioxide...
Oh, we talk about Skittles though, man. They so good. And I only eat them around, I was about to say Thanksgiving, but around Halloween. And it's like, they give you those small little packs. They like small. They're not like the long ones that you get throughout the year if you go in the store and buy one. They just be these little small square packs you get during like Halloween, man. And I ain't gonna lie. It's like once you start, you just can't stop. You can't stop. But I need to hear this though.
Genotoxicity. And for those of you who don't know, genotoxicity is when a chemical substance has the ability to alter the fundamental structure of our DNA. Titanium dioxide is commonly used for plastics, adhesives, inks, roofing materials, and recent scientific research has proven that titanium dioxide has the ability to bypass our biological membranes, circulate our entire body, and hijack our cells. The European Food Safety Authority has deemed it unsafe and unsuitable for human consumption and has been banned in multiple different countries. This is beyond alarming, especially when you consider the fact that Skittles is one of the many food brands that's owned by Mars Incorporated. And Mars Incorporated is one of the 10 mega companies that owns all of the food brands that we consume.
It's just like everything else that goes through a factory and is processed and stuff like that, man. We just don't know what all they're putting in it, how it can affect us, how it will harm us in the long run, man. It's to the point, like I said before, man, and I've said it 1,000 times, nothing is safe these days. You don't know what they're putting in it to make it have a longer shelf life or what type of damage it could be doing to our body, because it tastes great and you don't realize it until it's too late. But they got to do something, man, to stop this from happening and exposing us to this type of stuff and letting it be allowed. We got to do like these other countries and start banning some of this stuff, man, if we hope to live a long life and increase the life expectancy of people, man.
This is why you don't take candy from strangers. Clara Crane and her husband had a beautiful 5-year-old, Marcella. Unfortunately for the family, Marcella would pass away in her sleep for unknown reasons. Clara always blamed her husband even without evidence. So one afternoon, she gave her husband some candy and he ate it. But what she didn't tell him was that candy was laced with poison. He passed away shortly after, and she was sent to the North Texas Lunatic Asylum. Now here is where it starts to get creepy. She was released from the hospital due to overcrowding, but no one knows where she went. Children started to go missing by her old property, and kids would say that they would find candy right outside their window while they were sleeping. A nearby farmer found teeth in his field, and the local sheriff was unalived with forks where his eyes go and candy in his pocket. Everyone believes that Clara Crane is the candy lady, and to this day, she is still luring children with her candy. This is why.
You know what sucks about this story? I don't know if y'all were like me, but I grew up in a neighborhood where there was someone who sold candy, and we would always refer to them as the candy lady. Where you going? To the candy lady. Need some money for the candy lady so I can go down to her house, grab some, pay for some candy and or some type of snack or something after school every single day. And everyone around that little small tiny community called them or referred to her as the candy lady. Even our parents, when they were like, well, you seen him? He probably up there at the candy lady getting him something. That's what we referred to them as. Like, and another crazy part of the story, being released for overcrowdedness is crazy. Crazy to even think of that people, that our system would do that if this story is true. But I've heard of them doing that. Being released for overcrowdedness or being delayed going to jail because it's overcrowded. I've heard of both of those situations.
Okay. Here's my conspiracy theory for the day. Candy makers. I believe that over 100 years ago, all the candy makers got together, and what they did was they decided what grape candy and strawberry candy and watermelon candy would taste like, because all grape candy tastes the same. All watermelon candy, as soon as you put it in your mouth, you can immediately recognize that it's watermelon. But those candies don't taste like real watermelon, or grapes, or cherries, or oranges. But yet they all taste the same. Candy makers got together and created this big conspiracy of what they wanted fruit candy to taste like. And they all agreed, and it all tastes the same. Okay.
I agree to a certain extent, though. A lot of stuff does taste the same. It tastes the same. Remember back when Snickers, and then they came out with like kind of different forms of Snickers and different things like that, or something was like a Snicker, but it wasn't a Snicker and it had a different name and stuff like that. Like the tastes were different. Nowadays, I just feel like everything kind of tastes the same, and it don't even taste like what you thought it was going to taste like. For instance, like he was talking about with watermelon. I know. Black guy sitting here talking about watermelon. What a stereotype. I get it. You know what I mean? I embrace it. But anyway, it just doesn't taste like the things that you thought it would taste like. And then don't be the person that, like me, that look on the back and see what all is in it. You'd be sick to your stomach, man. You know what would be crazy, though? What if all of these candy companies were secretly ran by one company? You know how Black Rock is well known for different things or having its hands in a lot of things? What if it had its hands in candy as well? Oh, the conspiracies. Listen here, man. I'm going to end it right here with this one. Y'all get at me in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this video. And if you don't take anything away from this video, please take this. Y'all be safe with the kiddos for Halloween, whenever Halloween comes back around. All right? It's your boy, man. Y'all stick around and stay tuned. So next one I'm gone.